Welcome back to our virtual VBS where we're learning how to break out of the ordinary into the extraordinary. And we're going to be working on mission number 3. Mission 3, we're going to look at how to break out from fear, okay? And we're going to be using the example from Daniel chapter 6, where Daniel was trapped in the lion's den, all right? So the lesson of Daniel in the lion's den is one you may have heard of before. Daniel is a good example for us to look at in the Bible of someone who was put in an uncomfortable position, but was still able to keep his faith in God, and some amazing things happened in his life. So if you look in Daniel chapter 6, that's where we're going to see this story about Daniel being thrown into the lion's den. So Daniel was exiled into Babylon with Israel when they were captured. Babylon was a powerful nation at the time, and they were a pagan nation. So they worshiped other gods and not the one true God that Israel, of course, worshipped and that Daniel continued to worship. Even in those bad situations, Daniel was able to trust in God and to break out of his fear using prayer and using his faith in God. So we're going to watch a little video that kind of goes through the story of Daniel, and then we're going to come back and discuss what else we have to do for mission number 3.
King Darius was the new leader in Babylon. Babylon was a large kingdom, so the king picked men to be leaders over small parts of Babylon. The king picked Daniel to be one of the leaders. Daniel was very good at his job, so Darius decided to put Daniel in charge of all of Babylon. When the other leaders heard about this, they were jealous. They watched Daniel and waited for him to do something wrong so they could get him in trouble. But Daniel did what was right. The leaders knew Daniel obeyed God, so they made a plan to get Daniel in trouble for praying. They said to King Darius, "King, all of your leaders think it would be a good idea to pass a law. For the next 30 days, no one may pray to any god or man except to you. Anyone who disobeys the law will be thrown into the lion's den." King Darius agreed to pass the law. Daniel knew the law meant he was not allowed to pray to God. Still, Daniel went into his house and prayed to God 3 times a day, just like he had always done. The jealous leaders saw Daniel praying, and they told the king that Daniel had broken the law. King Darius was upset. He didn't want to punish Daniel. The king thought all day about how he could save Daniel from the lions. "The law can't be changed," the men reminded King Darius. So King Darius ordered Daniel to be thrown into the lion's den. "May the God you serve save you," he said. The king went to his palace for the night. He did not eat and he could not sleep. He thought about Daniel with the lions. As soon as the sun came up the next morning, the king hurried to the lion's den. He cried out, "Daniel, has your God rescued you from the lions?" Daniel shouted back, "God sent his angel to shut the lion's mouth. I am safe." The king was so happy. He ordered for Daniel to be taken out of the lion's den. Daniel wasn't hurt because he had trusted in God. King Darius made a new law. Everyone must respect God. King Darius wrote, "He is the living God. He has rescued Daniel from the power of the lions." God showed his power to rescue Daniel from the lions, but Daniel was just a small part of a much bigger story. God ultimately rescued us from a much bigger problem, sin and death, through his son, Jesus.
Okay, so we saw how Daniel was able to use his faith in God to break out of fear. In this situation, God decided that it was going to be his plan to keep Daniel safe in the lion's den, and by doing so, other people saw God's power and were led to also believe in Daniel's God, which is our one true God that we worship, right? And so he learned how to break out from fear. So fear is something that we all deal with. Sometimes it's something maybe little, like being afraid of the dark, or being afraid of a storm, or maybe it's something big, like someone being sick with cancer, or maybe being afraid of the virus, that the country is dealing with right now. So maybe it's a bigger fear like that. But any fear that you have, you can always trust in God, and you can always pray to God and tell him your fears and ask him to help you, and he will. All right. So for mission number 3, the craft is going to be a paper craft where you're going to do some folding and coloring, and you're going to come out with a little lion paper craft. And they're called different things, kind of like a fortune teller is one thing that they might be called. But this isn't necessarily going to tell your fortune. It's more just going to have different memory verses that you can use it for to try to memorize the verses, or just if you're wanting to know, what's a good scripture for me to remember today, then you can do that by using your craft that we're going to see today. All right. You may have noticed I am wearing my tie-dyed shirt today. So, not just the white shirt that we had the first 2 videos. So if you've tie-dyed your shirt from Mission 2, we'd love to see how they turned out. Or when you create your line craft tonight or any of the other crafts we're going to work on, feel free to post those. You can use hashtag AlvatonVBS2020. You can post it on the VBS page or on our church page, and we'd love to see how everybody's crafts are turning out. We hope you're enjoying this. We're definitely enjoying hearing the responses from you, and we hope you're learning more about the Bible, more about some of these Bible characters, and then how you can apply their stories to your life, and how we can learn to break out from the ordinary into the extraordinary with God's help. And tonight especially, we're discussing how to break out from fear. All right? So work on your codes for number 3 tonight and help Doc get out of whatever trap Grouchy got him in tonight. We will see you again soon. Bye.